welcome to Kidmissing TV. I am your host, Angelina Wilson. Today we're going to talk about the case of Heaven LaShae Ross. Shay to her friends and family. Shay was abducted and murdered in Northport, Alabama. She was abducted on the 19th of August, 2003. Her remains were found in 2007, December 18th. Heaven was 11 years old. The last time she was seen was by a neighbor walking towards the bus stop. Now, I couldn't find it in my research this time, but I saw before where she was going to a friend's trailer, because this was in her trailer park, to walk with her friend. So, like I said, I didn't find it this time, but I know that I have seen that information before. So, her stepfather asked her, "Would you like a ride? Bag looks awfully heavy there, Shay." And probably because he knew she wasn't feeling great the night before. He rubbed her tummy for her. She was having cramps. And you know, I have to say this. Online, a lot of people made a big deal about that. Like, it was inappropriate for him to rub her tummy because she was having cramps in her belly. And then her mother said to him, "Uh-oh. She might be getting her first period." She was 11, and I would hope her stepfather was old enough and mature enough for mom to say that to him. You know, I don't see inappropriate there. I really don't. And it's okay if you disagree with me, you know, as some people online do. They're pointing so many fingers at him, it isn't even funny. A neighbor clearly saw her walking toward the bus stop or somewhere that morning after she left the house. Well, not long after she left the house, within a couple of minutes, was a giant cloud of thunder. Stepfather says, "Oh no," runs out the door because he knows she's terrified of thunderstorms. Hoping to meet her at the bus stop. The bus stop was just outside of the trailer park. Now, the distance, that depends on where their trailer was in relationship to the end of the park. But the bus stop was just outside the park. So, I don't know what that distance was. When he did get to the bus stop, it was pouring. So he picked up Heaven's older sister and said, "Where's Shay?" Because that's what he called her. And she said, "I don't know." I guess they drove around the park a little bit, and then he dropped her off at school, went back, woke Mom up, and said, "I can't find Shay." They looked, they called police, and it was a massive search. But there was a man walking his dog that found her remains in 2007. Her remains were under the porch of a dilapidated house that had been vacant, abandoned for several years. They found her backpack not far from her. Like I said, people made all sorts of things about this, but I just don't see there being a problem. This house was 6 miles from the trailer park, and in investigating this case, police discovered, to their horror I'm sure, that there were 2 other little girls, very, very similar situations, that were abducted One has never been located, and the other one was also murdered. She was found in a forest preserve. Her name was Shannon Polk, also aged 11 years. The other little girl was Teresa Dean, also aged 11 years. They were all taken in August, each 2 years apart. Shannon in 1999, Heaven in 2001. Oh, nope, I have that backwards. I am so sorry. Teresa in 1999, Shannon in 2001, and Heaven in 2003. All in August, within days of each other. Heaven was August 19th, Teresa was August 15th, and Shannon was August 16th. So, police are thinking that this guy is using this strict schedule, and I wonder, because there's about 300 miles between the other two girls and Teresa, I'm wondering if there are other cases in between. I haven't done the research yet, which I intend to do, to find out if there are other similar cases in between. She's just outside of Macon, Georgia. The other two were in Alabama, Prattville and Northport, which are only about 30 miles apart, I think I found in my research. Nope, 90 miles, which isn't that bad, and they're all along the highway, US 82. That was another thing they had in common. They all lived in trailer parks. I actually have a page here that shows all of the commonalities between girls, which we'll get to. Someone tried to burn down Heaven's bedroom not long after she was taken. Again, people jumped to conclusions of family. I think it was just an accident. You know? I don't think anybody ever said conclusively it was arson. I could be wrong. There is a description of Shannon's possible abductor, a man that she was seen talking to by some of her girlfriends, and he could be the abductor of the other two girls. I could find no descriptions of anyone seeing them. The description of Shannon's abductor is a white male. In his 30s or 40s, he had a mole, a very distinctive mole, underneath one of his eyes. Doesn't say which one. Teresa required medical attention of some sort. I'm guessing it was some kind of constant medical attention, medicine or treatment of some sort. Again, nobody was clear on that. You know, what it was, so we don't know. Does this mean she wouldn't have survived long, you know, out there? Again, we don't know. I wish things like that were made very clear. I know sometimes people are embarrassed if somebody's taking a psychotropic or something. I'm not saying that she was. She was probably either, I don't know, a type 1 diabetic or some other chronic illness like that, you know. Because it could be, like I said, anything. If I were missing, it would say needs medical you know, medical attention, because I take a lot of medication. I have some pretty serious health problems. So, without my medicine, I wouldn't survive. So, you really don't know, you know? And like I said, she was about 300 miles away from the other two girls. And again, I will look for other similar cases. Okay, this is what we know are all the commonalities. They were all 11 years old, lived in trailer parks. They were all the youngest daughters in their respective families. They were outgoing and social, never met a stranger. Lived in suburbs outside large cities, Montgomery, Birmingham, and Atlanta. Wilderness refuges nearby. In fact, that's where Shannon's remains were found. And probably the most puzzling and alarming similarity, all three girls disappeared within days of each other, exactly 2 years apart. I don't believe in coincidences like that. I really don't. And I also wanted to mention that this case, all three girls gained national attention on America's Most Wanted when Polly Perrette from NCIS joined in helping to bring awareness, but also help to try to solve these cases. She gave time and money because, you know, she plays Abby, the forensic scientist and whatever, on the show, but in real life, that is her education. She is actually a real life forensic scientist. So, it's fact and fiction sort of meeting there. So she certainly wants to lend her skills as well. She's from that area of Alabama and still has family there, including young children that she wanted to protect. And they all believe it was a serial killer. So for anybody to blame the family, I feel terrible. And I wanted to make that clear. That these people do not represent me at all that are saying this online. I just... Police are saying serial killer. America's Most Wanted is saying serial killer. And these people are pointing the finger at stepdad. Who, yes, there had been issues in the home. There was some sort of violent altercation with the mom. Daughter stepped in, got shoved. That sort of thing. He took anger management classes, and it seems to me he was doing great after that. So, and he obviously cared about his stepdaughters. You know, enough to make sure they didn't stand at the school bus in the rain, and to rub her tummy the night before, and it just seemed like they were a family. You know, yeah, all families have their issues. They were no different. But he took anger management, he, you know, did what he needed to do to get better, and that's all you can ask. So I'm willing to look past it. Not to mention that it's, quite frankly, none of our business. So, I wanted to remind you, excuse me, that tomorrow evening will be Kidmissing Radio, where I will have missing persons advocate Bob Odie as my special guest, talking about the case of missing Mason Smith. Mason was 17 years old when he disappeared from St. George, Utah. Mason was an astonishing 6 feet 4 inches tall. That makes you wonder, you know, how do you abduct someone that big? And I have to tell you, I watched The Disappeared on this case, and oh boy, it left a lot. on my mind that I can't wait to discuss with Bob. So please join us tomorrow evening. It should be up by about 7 o'clock. The link to Kidmissing Radio is always in the description. And it will be all over my social media as soon as it is uploaded, which should be within about an hour of the show. Thank you so much for joining me. God bless you. Get that shot when you can, and I'll see you Tuesday.